Hi everybody, welcome to our Twisted Tuesday episode. This is the first of many that we'll be sharing for you guys to better understand what we do here at The Wellness Way. I'm going to just start sharing cases. That way if something rings true to you and you're like, oh, that sounds just like me, chances are we probably can help, okay? So this patient that I'm going to discuss with you relatively quickly is a patient that I see a lot, and I'm going to read kind of their description of this patient's medical past and the kind of the symptoms that she's experiencing and the lack of information that she's gotten in 2 years, invested thousands of dollars worth of money and countless tears at night and tears during the day, because every time she would go in to get a checkup or get more labs drawn, they never found answers, they just found more question marks, okay? So I'm going to show you that in just a bit. So this patient, this is what they wrote on their new patient intake papers. This patient has been struggling severely for the past year with her health. It started out with panic attacks in June of 2018 and quickly changed to muscular pain and neurological issues. She is experiencing migratory pain all over her body, as well as tightness and pressure. The tightness and pressure is migratory through the neck, brain, arms, back, pelvis, hips, the bottom, and the legs. Recently, she has been getting arthritic type pain in her hands and feet as well. She experiences times when she shakes and convulses as well. She is taking 4 1 milligram doses of lorazepam 4 to 5 times a day to help with the pain and anxiety, but it is not working very well anymore. She has been taking the lorazepam for about a year now. As this pain is so intense and ongoing, she is getting very anxious and losing hope. Okay. So that is a very typical patient that comes in, one that's lost all hope because nobody can give her an answer and nobody can show her what her reality is. So if you look at this file here, all of these papers right here are all of the lab tests she's done in 2 years. That's a lot of money. So what did she get for it? Nothing. Nobody gave her an answer. Nobody even gave her a heads up. So what do I do differently? What's the Wellness Way approach? Well, first off is the first thing I do at your new patient appointment is before you come in, I'll look at all of your labs. And this is what I do. I take a sheet of paper just like this, and I take every single lab and I write it out just like it was a baseball card. I grew up collecting baseball cards, and when you turn on the back, it has all the stats. How often does this player get to first base, to second base, to third base, home runs? How many times do they strike out? Babe Ruth struck out more times than he hit home runs, but everybody knows him for his home runs, okay? So with that kind of in me as a child looking at stats, that's the same way I approach a massive amount of blood work and other tests. I write it all out. And if you kind of take a general look at what I've highlighted orange are the tests that are repeated, which is super important. If you're going to measure, you're going to do something after that, treat the patient, and then you got to follow up. If you don't follow up, you don't have a lot of confidence in what you're treating your patients for. Okay? So these, if you look, it's very sporadic that she ever got any of her markers repeated through testing. That's a bad scenario, okay? So if you take a look at 2018, her diabetes marker was almost classifying her as diabetic. That was the last time anybody ever took a look at her blood sugars, okay? And remember what I just said, how they described her issues? There's a ton of red flags for diabetes. But the only time they ever looked at her sugar levels is 2018, okay? So guess what I'm doing? I'm going to run her sugar levels, because that's the only thing out of 2 years worth of labs that's really sticking out to me. How can you goof up a diabetes diagnosis? It's really simple to do. You got to check your glucose, your insulin, and your hemoglobin A1C. Okay, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So she's wasted so much time chasing really random, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. Well, maybe it's just you have diabetes. Okay, so that's where we're approaching it with this patient right now. So I sent her out for, again, repeat to see what is sticking around, what has changed. This blood work is awful in the way that it doesn't tell a story. Even when I write it out in this form, it's still nonsense, okay? But the wellness way allows us to step back and look at the system as a whole. That way we don't get pigeonholed into a certain diagnosis or a certain mind frame. Because every time this patient would go in to see a new doc, she would share all of the past. So that kind of made the doc kind of biased, thinking, okay, they've done this, so what information do I really need to know from the patient's past? But what do I want to do with the patient, okay? And that's where we get this garbled mess of information that you see in this case specifically, okay? So the truth is she's frightened, as she should be, because nobody's given her any information, and anything that she's tried hasn't helped. So this is the type of person that thinks they're definitely broken. They're on their way. They're about to die, because that's what she says. She feels like she just needs to die. Like her body's just holding on to like a thread. Okay. 2 years ago, if this, and I'll report back to you guys, if it turns out to be diabetes, man, I will be both super upset and super excited at the same time. So only when you do it in a way such as the wellness way approach can you actually really see the whole picture. Take a really confusing case and dissolve it into just the information that really is important. Okay, they did a bunch of virus tests and everything like that, thyroid, all of that. But if they missed the marker for diabetes, man, it doesn't matter what all those other tests are. Those are all secondary, in my opinion, to the diabetes. If you're diabetic, your immune system's going to go into the trash. When the immune system is lowered and it can't do its job, then you should be worried about colds, viruses, cancers, okay? Our immune system does a wonderful job of killing all of those things every single day. Did you know that? Did you know that you are actively killing every day bacteria, fungus, viruses, and cancer? It's only when the immune system is suppressed or depressed that these things can actually kill you. But if our immune system is solid, if our sugar levels are balanced, the immune system can perform at its optimal performance. We don't have to worry about things like COVID-19 because our immune system will take care of it. It probably already has taken care of it. It's my opinion that we've reached herd immunity. There's no need for those masks anymore.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. So anyways, the story is, if you're scared, put some numbers behind it. Figure it out. Come in. Let me check you out. And do it just like we're doing with this patient. It can be as simple as something as diabetes. But people are so wrapped up in finding something cool and unique and so off the books that they leave their patients high and dry most of the time, unfortunately. So that brings me to my next subject. It's this week I will be doing a Facebook Live. We are going to be talking about autoimmune diseases, okay? This patient most likely has a form of autoimmunity, but that again is secondary to her not being able to control her sugar levels, okay? You got to imagine your body as a garden, okay? So we plant really nice things, we have good soil, and if we water it every day, then our garden is going to grow and we're going to have great results, okay? But what happens when you start throwing garbage into your garden? Well, what we're going to see is the fruit and the plants are going to start not showing up. It's not going to be healthy. The fruit's not going to be sweet, and it's not going to be good for you because the environment is now toxic. The soil is gross. So when our bodies become gross and it's full of pollutants and toxins, our immune system will go after that and try to clear it out. And that's what autoimmunity is all about. So I'm going to go into more detail about that this Thursday evening. And I hope you guys join me so that we can move forward and get out of the dark and all the scary stuff that comes with our health, and actually understand the body to the point where it's actually really cool and exciting to know exactly what's going on. You guys take your cars to the mechanic, he plugs it into a computer, it prints out all the error codes, and that's exactly what we do here. Your car, you come in, I'll plug in my tests, we'll see what information comes out of you, and then we move forward. So it's very personal. It's personalized to your case. I do not treat every patient the same, because that is the biggest mistake that we have chosen to do in the medical industry, is everybody gets the same medications, everybody is treated the same. Doesn't matter X, Y, Z. And that's unfortunate, because it does matter. It's super important that we see everybody as individuals and not just a mass of cows or cattle that we just kind of rush through the system. Come on, Betsy. Okay. So anyways, again, thanks for tuning in to Twisted Tuesdays. I'll follow up with you guys on this case as I get more information, but join me this Thursday for the autoimmune presentation. All right.
Michelle says new office in Phoenix, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we are the newest. We are the only office in Arizona as of today. And so, yeah, welcome. You'll be seeing more of us pop up, but this is the one I'm in right now. So let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.